myself and Senator Quince Britton of the Upper House attended a parliamentary seminar in China on the country's celebration of 40 years of membership of the International Parliamentary Union. I wish to announce that Grenada has been invited to the Pan-Americas Conference on digital economies legislation to be held in Miami on September 7th and 8th. Two reps from Grenada would be funded to the conference, and I extend an invitation to any member of this House who is willing to attend. Please inform me. And I have in my possession information that says Honorable Evelyn Pierre is out of state and will not be able to attend today's sitting. Those are my announcements.
Item 7, presentation of petitions. Item 8, presentation of papers and reports from select committees.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to lay on the table a supplementary estimate of expenditure for 2024 as approved by the Finance Committee at a meeting of the 20th day of August 2024. Secondly, I wish to lay the 2024 mid-year review report as approved by Cabinet pursuant to Section 25(3) of the Public Finance Management Act, PFMA number 17 of 2015, to be laid in Parliament together with the supplementary budget in accordance with Section 23. Thirdly, the opinion of Cabinet pursuant to Section 25(2) and 3 of the Public Finance Management Act. Fourthly, minutes of the proceedings of a meeting of the Standing Committee on Finance held in Parliament Chamber, Mount Wellesley, St. George's, on Tuesday, the 20th day of August, 2024, at 10 a.m. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the minutes of the Committee of Privileges held on Wednesday, the 24th day of July, 2024, at 10 a.m. at the conference room of the House of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader of Government Business. Honorable members, the aforementioned papers I will now lead.
Item 9, unopposed private business. Item 10, questions.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to ask the following questions standing in my name. And questions, I received the answers to question 5 to 8. And no answers to question 1 to 4. I just want to point that out, Mr. Speaker. And I thought it would be good for me to just read these questions. Can the Minister for Finance provide a list of all service providers contracted or subcontracted or engaged for all activities of the independence celebrations? The service provided, the total value of the contract, and the amount of monies paid or to be paid for the services for the period 2023 to April 30th, 2024. This includes and is not limited to the island-wide decoration, stage and event decorations. That's question 1, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, honorable member, will you be asking the questions one by one?
Yes.
And do you require an oral answer?
Well, if they have oral answers, it's fine.
Okay, because if it's oral answers, there's only 3 questions that would be allowed. Honorable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning to this honorable House. I wish to acknowledge receipt of those questions that were asked by the honorable leader of His Majesty Opposition. Those questions referred to activities taking place on the Spice Mass Corporation, the Greater Development Bank, and I think the Independence Organizing Committee. I have forwarded those questions to those entities because I do not have the information lodged in the Ministry of Finance, and I do hope to get those answers from those entities in due course, and I would be then be able to present written questions to the questions asked.
Proceed
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
to ask question number 2, stand under my name, which says as follows. How many members of the present government in Parliament receive loans from the Grenada Development Bank? The name of the members and the amounts from June 23rd, 2022.
All right. Before I call the Minister of Finance, I somehow got, so correct me if I'm wrong, honorable member, from your address just now, I got the sense that you have not received the information you requested to answer all 4 questions. Was that what you said? Or you were responding just to question 1? Honorable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, as indicated earlier, I acknowledge receipt of those 3 questions and referred to matters related to the Spice Mass Corporation, the Grenada Development Bank, and the Organizing Committee for Independence. And those questions were forwarded to those entities because those answers to the questions do not reside directly within the Ministry of Finance. I am the line minister for those entities, for most of those entities, and therefore once I receive those response from those entities, I'll be able to collect an answer in writing for the House.
Okay. Honorable Leader of His Majesty Opposition.
That comment was isolated to question 1 because the amount of ministers receive loan from GDB cannot be a very long, complicated response. But let me ask question 3. Can you advise if any financial support was provided to the committee responsible for the launch of Carnival in New York? If financial support was provided, what was the amount and to whom the funds were provided? I assume the answers are the same, so I'll ask number 4. Just read number 4.
Well, just read number 4 because...
Yes, read them. Okay, all right, fine. How much funds were raised and provided to the Spice Mass Corporation for the Carnival launch in New York for the period 2023 and 2024? Okay?
All right. I get a sense from the Honorable Minister of Finance that he has not received the information from the 4 entities that he called. I suggest that those entities be written to and they be told that Parliament has requested that information. Right? Because I don't want us to come back here in the next sitting and the minister hasn't received the information from the various entities.
Mr. Speaker, So I'll ask 5, 7, 6, and 7, and 8
Proceed, please.
before I sit.
Yeah, proceed, please.
And it was, the questions were asked to the Honorable Phillips Tellis. Well, the following questions. How many people have applied for the low-income housing units? 1. How many persons were approved for the low-income housing units so far? How many persons were approved for the low-income houses have secured loans, and how many persons have received the low-income housings to date? These are the 4 questions. I said that the written answer was just provided, so.
Do I provide it to you?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Question. Item 11, urgent questions under the provisions of Standing Order number 21, notice of questions. Item 12, statements by ministers.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this morning I want to take this opportunity to say thanks, first and foremost, to, and this is not an exhaustive list at all, to the many people who stood by the Ministry of Health, or stood with the Ministry of Health, and by extension the Government of Grenada, and the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and those in the northern parish, or parishes, following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. I want to make mention of some specific people, Mr. Speaker, without creating any problems. But I'm speaking directly, Mr. Speaker, from the Ministry of Health point of view. We express profound gratitude, Mr. Speaker, to Mr. John Milton, the team leader with the Samaritan Purse, for their selfless sacrifice in assisting the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique immediately after the onslaught of Hurricane Beryl. Mr. Speaker, they provided the Ministry of Health and the extension, Carriacou and Petit Martinique in particular, a field hospital. Along with it came medical supplies, medicines, doctors, nurses, and other support personnel. They also provided, Mr. Speaker, a mobile desalination plants, which were set up for the purpose of desalinating seawater and converting into potable water for residents there. Of course, Mr. Speaker, alleviating what would have been an immediate problem. The group placed absolutely no burden on the Ministry of Health to provide any support for them. They came with all of their supplies. They were self-contained, and it costed the Ministry of Health and the Government of Grenada absolutely nothing. We express our gratitude. And at the end of it, Mr. Speaker, they handed over the entire hospital with all of its accompanying medical supplies. And we express our profound gratitude to them. So, Speaker, I just want to quickly state that there was a lot of talk regarding a desalination plant, which was argued was given to the Government of Grenada, and we did nothing about it. Mr. Speaker, I personally had a very close-up, or set of close-up conversations with Mr. Milton, who's the head of the brigade. And I can say with absolute certainty, Mr. Speaker, that is furthest from the truth. I can also say that I personally made a request for the plans, and he said to me that there was never an intention of leaving the plant with Grenada or in Grenada. And so I just want to make that abundantly clear. Without getting into trouble, Mr. Speaker, I wish to also say a profound thank you, big thank you to Dr. Lisa Inder of CARFA, who is the current acting executive director, and CARFA being the Caribbean Public Health Agency, for their kind donation of medical supplies and for traveling to Grenada and assessing the situation firsthand and providing support to the Ministry of Health. CARFA continues to be a very solid partner to the Ministry of Health. We also thank PAHO for their support, continuous support and contributions. We also want to say profound gratitude to the AFIA Foundation and GDAC for providing medical supplies to Carriacou and Petit Martinique via the companion travel system, in which the travelers on JetBlue can grab a bag of medical supplies and take it to Grenada, and then we do the various distribution. Mr. Speaker, I want to also say thank you to Dr. Sexton, and his team, who visited the island and provided medical support and medical supplies. Pastor Happy, for the use of his church as basically the headquarters for the Samaritan Purse, and also for Dr. Sexton and his team. Mr. Speaker, just permit me a few more minutes to make a quick mention of Mpox and dengue, these two diseases. I start with the Mpox, Mr. Speaker. On the 14th of August 2024, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak of Mpox as a public health emergency of international concern. This is the highest level, Mr. Speaker, of global alert, recognizing the potential threat that this virus poses to countries around the world. This version of Mpox, known as Mpox Clade 1b, is more transmissible and can cause more severe illness than Clade 2, which we saw in 2022. I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, that we take cognizance of what is outside there. Currently, Mr. Speaker, there are no cases of Clade 1b Mpox in Grenada or in the Caribbean. None has been reported in the USA, UK, Canada, and Latin America at the time as per my last update or my last briefing. There is also a limited number of travelers coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the virus originates from, and therefore the risk is said to be reasonably low. I want the population to understand, Mr. Speaker, that Mpox is spread through personal contact, and it is not an airborne disease, so it can easily be spread from the transfer or contamination via body fluids. So the Grenada Ministry of Health shall immediately step up surveillance and begin border security at our sea and airports should the disease be discovered in North America and England. So just wanting us to know that we are on guard and ready to respond should that happen. Finally, Mr. Speaker, in respect of dengue, it is widely known that there is a sharp increase in the reported cases, and there might well be a lot of unreported cases of dengue, with people trying to solve the problem on their own. So dengue fever is with us, and the Ministry of Health have intensified public education and vector control measures to try to combat the current health challenge. Mr. Speaker, I just want the population to understand that the breeding sites can be items such as drums, bottles, buckets, old fridges, tubes, old tires, cans, galvanized sheetings, metal sheetings, have all been identified as primary breeding spots, and we're asking residents to empty all stagnant waters around their property. Where help is needed, please call the Ministry of Health and our number is 440-2649. Please call and we will respond as much as we possibly can. The Ministry of Health strongly encourage the public to protect themselves from mosquito bites. Noticeably, Mr. Speaker, the virus is very prevalent, or the mosquitoes are very prevalent in St. George's and St. Andrews area. That is what is being said as per the report. But there has been a lot of calls from all quarters concerning dengue, so it's a very real threat. The public health experts from the Vector Control Department within the ministry are calling on the public to act now, remove all non-essential water holding containers and debris from in and around their homes. Meanwhile, the public is encouraged to heed the advice of the Ministry of Health and take the situation seriously and protect themselves from mosquito bites. Homeowners are encouraged to eliminate mosquito breeding sites in and around their properties. In the interest of public health, the Ministry of Health reminds anyone experiencing dengue fever like symptoms such as joint pains, fevers, headaches, and intense abdominal pains to seek medical attention promptly at the nearest health facilities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Leader of Government Business, and I see the light of MP for St. George South. The floor is yours, Honorable.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, and good morning to everyone. Mr. Speaker, immediately after Hurricane Beryl, the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation made a call for citizens to be involved in the cleanup process. And Mr. Speaker, I want to put on record my thank you to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. The first cleanup was done in St. Patrick's, and Mr. Speaker, we saw a number of people coming out to assist. We had volunteers who brought the trucks, people who, Mr. Speaker, left what they were doing for the day and came out on the weekend. Even in Carriacou, Mr. Speaker, we have some organizations which made their presence felt. And, Mr. Speaker, contractors and companies, everyone were involved. And it was a nice sight, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to Carriacou and Petite Martinique on a weekend, we had over 500 persons volunteering to be involved in the cleanup campaign. And, Mr. Speaker, that speaks volumes. Right? It shows that our people are caring. It shows that we are showing the community spirit, Mr. Speaker, and not just doing it for money, but doing it for the love of country. And I want to put on record my gratitude, Mr. Speaker, and my thank you for everyone who were involved in the clearer process. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP for South St. George.
Item 13, personal explanations. Item 14, motions.
Mr. Speaker,
Just hold, Honorable. Can you turn off the light, Honorable MP for Carriacou? Is the light next to you? Okay. Oh, using the two of them?
yes.
Oh, I didn't understand that. All right, so I'm no longer confused.
No problem. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the following motion standing in my name, and it reads as follows. Whereas it is necessary to provide for the services of the state of Grenada for the year 2024 an additional sum of $269,598,086 by way of supplemental appropriation. Be it resolved that the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2024 for the period January 1st to December 31st, 2024 be approved.
Just hold, honorable members. Honorable members, the motion is, whereas it was necessary to provide for the services of the state of Grenada for the year 2024 by means of a Supplementary Appropriation Act, be resolved that Supplementary Appropriation Act 2024 for the period 1st January to 31st December 2024 be approved. Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to introduce the bill for its first reading.
Just hold on, honorable MP. Honorable member, can you approach the bench?
Yeah, just a question before he begins. Just one eye. Huh?
before you take your floor to present your debate, just to say that for today's sitting, you will speak as the standing order says for as long as you wish, right? The opposition leader would have the same time according to the standing orders, same time like you. And because the standing orders are silent on a supplemental, right? We would have to decide the time for the other speakers. The Prime Minister, of course, can speak as long as the member will present. But unlike a budget debate where every member has an hour, it will be slightly different in supplemental debate. All right, so other members, the floor is now yours.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes.
Just one question. If we don't clarify the time now, then you, Honorable...
I said how much
Yes,
the presenter...
for the member.
Yes.
But for the other members, like us, if we know now, then...
Okay, I get the point.
Thank you.
Yes, I get the point. Other members, I'm going to propose it, right, and ask you to vote on it, because the standing orders are basically silent on supplemental.
No.
So I propose that each speaker, other than the Prime Minister and the presenter, right, speak for a duration of 30 minutes. Right? We can now discuss, debate, and vote on it. So I'm not ruling on my own. As a parliament, we decide how much time each member, other than the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister, and the opposition leader. I propose 30 minutes. Let me hear the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I thought this is rather clear. These matters are usually, it's just like the budget debate, it's 1 hour per member. So if members want to take less, it's up to them.
Honorable member, we can agree. Right? If we don't agree with my proposal, then we say, let's go back to the typical budget debate. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's just tabled for discussion.
So, Mr. Speaker, we propose 1 hour. So there are two proposals on the floor. We just take a vote.
All right, and I respect this.
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, your point is very appropriate, but the standing order is definitely silent. He talks about budget debate, he doesn't talk about any other motion. So you can't just say it's budget debate. It's not a budget debate. No, it doesn't.
All right, and I remember, let's argue that vote.
There's no need to argue.
Okay, so I'll put to the vote and we move on. I'll put to the vote and we move on. All those who suggest that we take a typical approach to a budget debate, allowing each of the other members 1 hour time allocation to respond. Right? I won't take a show of hands, but I'm asking for all those who agree that we maintain the same approach to a typical budget. Say aye. The typical budget, say aye. Those, I move the motion that those who are in favor of the typical budgetary approach, where you allow each member an hour, other than the 3 significant members, I ask for the vote on it. Right? So if the vote goes in favor, then no need for me to call what I suggested. So I heard the ayes here. Those who say no, I heard the no. The ayes have it. I think the ayes have it. So we'll take the typical budgetary debate.
I require division.
A division of vote?
Yes, please. Well, could you know the rules?
Honorable,
It's my right to ask the speaker for division.
Yes, but
no one
remember,
on the floor of the house.
and I remember, and I believe of the opposition,
Yes.
the approach is taken before the vote is taken.
All right.
Right? So we proceed. Honorable Minister of Finance?
John, that's my right, you know.
Yeah, I said the division should come before the vote was taken.
No, after you have said, Mr. Speaker, look. Let's do what is
Hold,
right.
Honorable MP,
Good.
you know the rules, yeah?
Okay.
So you put on your lights and let me call you.
Let me just make a point. Mr. Speaker, it's historic. That's not new. When the motion was held, you heard a yeah and a no. You don't know whether they know. You heard some voices.
It makes sense.
Any member can get up and say, I want a division. That's normal. The person should go through the motion and then have division. That does not make sense, Mr. Speaker. I really don't want to make this an issue, but I find it creating unnecessary problems. We must have division before we speak.
Honorable Leader of Government Business.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we give way to the father of the House. I think when Daddy speaks, I think we need to comply.
Okay, so you agree that we take the vote by division? All right, no problem. Mr. Clerk?
Honorable Deacon Mitchell, how do you vote?
Vote aye.
Honorable Philip Telesford, how do you? Honorable Lennox Andrews. Honorable Tevin Andrews. Honorable Dennis Cornwall. Honorable Kieran James. Honorable Ron Redhead. Honorable Delmar Thomas.
Aye.
Honorable Andy Williams. Honorable Kate Lewis. Honorable Clarice Meadows Coburn. Honorable Kit Mitchell.
All right, I wish to announce, honorable members, the division of votes went 9 aye and 3 no. Honorable Minister of Finance, please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Earlier on, I actually begged to move the motion on the supplemental budget for 2024. And so I now move to sort of explain or detail the contents of the supplementary appropriation bill for 2024. The total supplementary bill for 2024 can be broken down as follows. Capital grant, $5,368,472. Capital local expenditure, $233,218,318. Capital loans, 0. Recurrent expenditure, $11,296 for a grand total of $269,598,086. Mr. Speaker, I would like to basically go into some details on how these sums were actually applied by ministries. I'll begin with the Office of the Prime Minister. There's a provision of $2.5 million there. Police, we have $530,000 provided there. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, we have a recurrent provision there for $750,000. Ministry of National Security, Home Affairs, Public Administration, Information and Disaster Management, we have a capital expenditure of $3,830,921. Ministry of Finance, we have a recurrent expenditure of $18,600,000 and a capital expenditure of $25 million, up to $43,600,000. Ministry of Economic Development, Planning, Tourism, ICT and Creative Economy, we have a recurrent expenditure of $2,640,000 and a capital expenditure for $20,747,000, totaling $23,387,000. climate resilience and environmental and renewable energy, we have a recurrent provision for $591,245 and a capital expenditure for $13,054,772. Ministry of Mobilization, we do have a capital expenditure provision for $24,500,000. Ministry of Infrastructure, we have a capital expenditure provision for $87 million. Ministry of Social, Community Development, Housing and Gender Affairs, we have a capital provision for $18.5 million. Ministry of Clerical and Diplomatic Affairs and Local Government, we have a recurrent expenditure for $426,088 and a capital expenditure of $18,094,097. Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports and Culture, we do have recurrent provision for $4,973,963 and a capital expenditure for $5 million. Ministry of Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, we do have a provision on the capital for $5 million. And Ministry of Agriculture, we do have a capital provision for $17,816,000. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to move right now into the context and background of this supplemental budget. This supplemental budget is largely driven by the unfortunate passage of Hurricane Beryl, which caused significant damage to the state of Grenada, in particular northern parts of Grenada, the Cecil of Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. These expenditures or these provisions are intended to facilitate spending on the resources received, including the CRIF Insurance Fund. A supplementary estimate approved by Parliament is required where allocations cannot be found within the existing appropriation. In other words, Mr. Speaker, the government is unable to spend the monies received from CRIF without a supplementary estimate. Mr. Speaker, the supplementary is critically important, particularly in the context of Hurricane Beryl response. While the budget has some built-in flexibility, including the contingency provision and the options to shift allocations from lower priority spending to support the response to Hurricane Beryl, this is extremely limited in the absence of a Supplementary Appropriation Act. The government has moved expeditiously to get the supplementary appropriation to this stage, which includes assessment of needs, approval by the Finance Committee, and the enactment of bill in Parliament, which includes a debate in the lower and upper houses of Parliament. The Senate is expected to debate the bill later this week. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to the details explanation under each vote, and I begin with vote 10, the Prime Minister's Ministry. A sum of $2.5 million was provided there to cover the costs of hosting the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Grenada. Vote 12, an amount of $530,000 is required for the purchase of law enforcement equipment, namely an automated fingerprint identification system, cell phone unlocking equipment to do automatic matching. Sorry, let me repeat that again. A sum of $530,000 is required for the purchase of law enforcement equipment, namely an automatic fingerprinting identification system, cell phone unlocking device, and drones. Criminal investigations are prolonged due to lack of the necessary equipment to do automatic or automated matching of fingerprints. Additionally, the unlocking of phones for the investigation or investigative analysis is currently outsourced to Barbados. While the purchase of these items, this service could be performed here in Grenada, the new equipment would be used to replace Asian crime-fighting tools that are essential in law enforcement. Vote 16, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development. There are 3 items under this vote. The first item relates to the sum of $300,000 to provide support to the Grenada Bureau of Standards to help deliver improved laboratory service to the general public. Item 2 relates to the sum of $200,000, which is needed to facilitate the relocation of the London diplomatic mission to address operational safety and health issues presently being faced at the current location. And the third item, finally, a sum of $250,000 is needed to support the establishment of the Grenada High Commission in Canada This is a high strategic priority for Grenada, which has been articulated previously on other occasions. Vote 18, Ministry of National Security, Home Affairs, Public Administration, Information and Disaster Management. A sum of $3,830,921 for the purchase of vehicles and other transport-related supplies and material to support Hurricane Beryl relief operations. These are broken down as follows: $250,000 to service and administrative and miscellaneous expenses conducted during the passage of Hurricane Beryl. The second one, $500,000 to provide fuel required for tankers at the Emergency Operating Center in Carriacou, yachts, and the picking up of volunteers and vehicles attached to NADMER conducting service of relief for with connection to Hurricane Beryl. $400,000 catering service for staff and volunteers during and after the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Another $100,000 for accommodation and volunteers for the regional and locally conducted relief efforts for Carriacou due to the passage of Hurricane Beryl. A provision of $2,580,921 for the purchasing of vehicles to assist the relief efforts and security due to the passage of Hurricane Beryl. And I must add there that a total of 16 vehicles were purchased. They include pickups and trucks. These were needed to basically help clean up in the initial stage of the hurricane and to also provide transportation for security purposes on the island. We're on to Ministry of Finance. There are two items under this vote. A sum of $25 million to support business reactivation. This facility will be established at the Grenada Development Bank to provide grants and loans to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises that suffered damage during the passage of Hurricane Beryl. The items and the terms and conditions of this facility are as follows. A, purpose and target beneficiaries, medium, small, and micro enterprises, including the hotels, agriculture, and fishing sectors, can access this facility to support rebuilding and working capital needs. Type of facilities. The financing will be disbursed as part loan and part grant. Related to the grant, debt service payments on business loans for the period July to December 2024 will be allowed. It will be considered as technical support to the businesses. Item B, purpose of the loan. The loan will be used for construction, capital goods purchase, and working capital. The interest rate on this facility will be 1%. Collaterals for these loans. Loans to be secured as far as possible by property, secondary mortgage, legal mortgage, cash and cash equivalents, liens, equipment, etc. Terms and grace period. A maximum of 10 years, inclusive of 1 year grace period will be allowed, and the facility will begin from September 1st, 2024. The Grenada Development Bank will provide additional details in due course. The second item on the Ministry of Finance is to restore the contingency appropriation pursuant to Section 22(2) of the PFMA number 17 of 2015. Accordingly, the law requires that 2% of the domestic revenue is allocated to allow for immediate response in the aftermath of a natural disaster. In 2024, this allocation of $18.6 million, which will be allocated to various ministries and departments to allow them to address the immediate response in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, including to cover the cost of relocation of vulnerable citizens to Grenada, visits to the affected areas, initial damage assessment, transportation, and other related costs. The $18.6 million was distributed as follows: Ministry of Infrastructure, $3 million; Ministry of National Security, $3 million; Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation, $3 million; Ministry of Social Development and Housing, $2 million; Ministry of Health, $1 million; Ministry of Finance, $1 million; Ministry of Carriacou and Pediatric Affairs, $2.6 million; Ministry of Economic Development, $1 million; and Ministry of Agriculture, $2 million. The law requires that the location be restored in the next sitting of Parliament in the event of another disaster. Vote 26. Ministry of Economic Development, Planning, Tourism, ICT, and Creative Economy. There are 5 items under this vote. A sum of 15 million is required to finance Lot 2 and 3 for farm access roads at Mount Rule, Barrier Bridge, Sham Road, Rokin Road, Springs Garden Road, Dumfries Road, Mount Dale Road. The cost of construction exceeded the amount provided through the funding agency, thereby requiring additional local counterpart funding. A sum of 375,000 is needed to fabricate 15 hydroponic units systems for schools within every constituency. This will serve as a model for climate resilience. An amount of 2.5 million is required to provide a one-off subvention to the Grenada Tourism Authority to facilitate content acquisition for product development, destination promotion, and YouTube channel development. An amount of $140,000 is needed to provide a one-off subvention to the Grenada Tourism Authority to assist in the management and infrastructure support for the underwater sculpture park to ensure the operation of the park is done safely. The use of the sculpture park has increased significantly during the installation of 29 new sculptures, tourist placement, an 8-seat wedding chapel, and an Instagrammable Grenada sign for a total cost of $1.2 million. It is imperative that the park continues to evolve and remains competitive and retain its unique selling proposition as other countries in the region have also taken on similar projects to advance their tourism product. The safety of all uses is of paramount importance as GTA implements additional safety measures to safeguard the park and the sculptures from marine activity by an additional 10 color-coded moorings, which will delineate water sport operations from yacht chapters. Also, the aim is to resume the collection of entrance fee to the park at a proposed $10 per person, which will result in additional revenue for the state and can contribute to further maintenance. The park receives an estimated 1,000 visitors per week. A sum of $1,370,000 is required to support remedial repairs to tourism sites and attractions across the island, primarily ecotourism and nautical-based public sites that were severely damaged or destroyed by Hurricane Beryl. Also, the allocation is needed to undertake repairs to the Grenada Tourism Authority office in Carriacou. Mr. Speaker, there was significant damage to computer equipment and accessories in government offices in Carriacou and Petit Martinique and in some parts of Grenada during the passage of Hurricane Beryl. The Ministry of ICT is responsible for the procurement of all IT equipment and accessories across central government. An amount of $2 million is required to replace the damaged equipment and other IT accessories to restore full operations in those areas. Mr. Speaker, under the Climate Smart Agriculture and Enterprise Project SIEP, beneficiaries were afforded grants to support enterprise development. These projects suffered damage during the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Government is exploring support for these beneficiaries to help them get back on their feet. An amount of $2 million is allocated for this activity. Vote 28, Ministry of Climate Resilience, the Environment and Renewable Energy. Mr. Speaker, there are 11 items under this vote, largely grant-funded items. These grants are from various sources, including the Caribbean Development Bank, Global Environment Facility, and European Union, to support projects such as the Grenada Geothermal Energy Development Project, the Sargassum Conference, and others. The ministers will deliberate on these grant-funded projects during the debate. An amount of $5.4 million is needed to provide support for the implementation of the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority Waste Management Plan for Carriacou and Petit Martinique post-Hurricane Beryl. This is to cover the cost of heavy equipment, labor, and transportation to facilitate debris removal from Carriacou and Petit Martinique. A sum of $1.6 million is required to facilitate marine cleanup for Carriacou and Petit Martinique after the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Additionally, an amount of $591,245 was allocated to further support the ongoing Tagazam cleanup. I now move on to vote 29, Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation. There are 3 items under this vote. An amount of $8 million is needed for rehabilitation and construction of small roads within the 656 Road, Grenada. This represents approximately 20 small roads. Again, the Minister of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation will basically give you more details at the time of his presentation. This one is also to facilitate the completion of 26 houses and the construction of 15 new ones in the parish of St. Patrick. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of MIT was given responsibility to assist with cleanup activities in the affected areas in the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. A sum of $1.5 million is needed to cover the cost of transportation of volunteers, meals and equipment and supplies. Mr. Speaker, a sum of $15 million is needed to support the reconstruction of approximately 200 houses on mainland Grenada that were affected by Hurricane Beryl. We are looking at $50,000 per home, which includes labor, material, and equipment if deemed necessary. Moving on to vote 30, Ministry of Infrastructure, Physical Development, Public Utilities, Civilization, and Transportation. There are 8 items under this vote. First one, Molina Landfill Project. An original amount of $9 million was budgeted for this project in 2024. An additional sum of $12 million is needed to cover cost overrun and design modification to ensure the safe completion of this project and reopening of the Molina Road in not too distant future. Again, that project was started with original design. That design was actually done away with because it could not do what we wanted to do there because of challenges on the site, and therefore an additional $12 million is required there. Asphalt work program. An original amount of $40 million was budgeted for the program in 2024. An additional $15 million is needed to purchase of hot mix asphalt for the rehabilitation of various roads around the island. These funds will be used for the purchase of bitumen and other constituents for the production of coal mix asphalt. Concrete work programs. An original amount of $7 million was budgeted for the program in 2024. An additional amount of $7 million is required to continue construction works to Marquis Bridge, Morris Bishop, highway, pedestrian bridges, various concrete roads, culverts, and retaining walls around the island, including the H.A. Blaze street wall. Government buildings and renovations. An original amount of $9 million was budgeted for this program in 2024. An additional $6 million is needed to renovation of works to Grenville Police Station, Central Police Station, Wharf Police Station, Police Headquarters, Supreme Court Registry, Ministry of Education Building, Ministry of Agriculture Building, Grenville, Maribor, Abattoir. Emergency road clearance. An original amount of $250,000 was budgeted for this program in 2024. An additional sum of $2 million is needed for emergency road clearance and will be used to cover the costs included in the aftermath of the heavy rains to clear culverts, drains, fallen trees, and landslides. The Cliff Rehabilitation Project. An original amount of $3 million was budgeted for the project in 2024. An additional $5 million is required to accommodate a revised design and project scope to include the widening of the road or the carriageway. A sum of $10 million is needed to facilitate the cleanup of Carriacou and P.T. Martinique in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. This will cover the cost of 9 crews and equipment to facilitate the cleanup of Carriacou and P.T. Martinique over a 3-month period. And finally, a sum of $30 million is needed for the rebuilding of damaged infrastructure, roads, bridge, health facilities, schools, and other government buildings in Carriacou. We're now moving on to Ministry of Social, Community Development and Housing and Gender Affairs. Mr. Speaker, a sum of $2 million is needed to support the relocation and upkeep of vulnerable citizens, the elderly, high-risk persons from Carriacou to Grenada in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. An amount of $12.5 million will represent 11% of the CRIF payout is allocated to support the Beryl Relief Support Program for citizens who have become vulnerable as a direct result of passage of Hurricane Beryl. This will support a temporary horizontal expansion of the SEEDS program. The Grenada Home Improvement Program. An original amount of $14 million was budgeted for the program in 2024, of which $4 million was reallocated to the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation to support home renovations. The sum of $4 million is required to restore the original budgetary allocation for the continuation of home improvement programs. I now move on to the Ministry of Carriacou and Petty-Martinique Affairs and Local Government. Public Assistance Program. An amount of $2,119,200 were provided in 2024 for this program. An additional sum of $426,080 is required for the full cost.
Honorable Member Jusmo, I want to have total silence in the chamber. We have only one presenter. Quite honorable member.
Okay, going back to Public Assistance Program, an amount of $2,119,200 is provided in 2024 for this program. An additional sum of $426,088 is required to cover full costs of the Public Assistance Program in Carriacou. Government of Grenada Road Rehabilitation Project. An amount of $3 million was provided for this program in 2024. An additional sum of $3,094,097 is needed to cover costs associated with the Government of Grenada Road Rehabilitation Project on Carriacou and Petty-Martinique. A sum of $15 million is needed to support the rebuilding of the economy of Carriacou and Petty-Martinique following the decimation of the economy and the society caused by Hurricane Beryl. Moving on to Vote 40, Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports and Culture. There are 5 items under this vote. The sum of $900,000 is located to the awards and homecoming celebration for the Grenadian Olympians to Paris in 2024. These represent a grant provided by the National Lottery Authority. Mr. Speaker, a sum of $1.7 million is needed to replenish funds for the TMRE Show Community College to honor financial obligation made by the government in the fiscal year. A sum of $300,000 is required to increase the annual subvention for the New Life organization. Cabinet approved an increase in the monthly subvention granted to NULO from $75,000 to $100,000 commencing in the fiscal year 2024. This increase is necessary to support the organization's expanded program and operational costs, ensuring that they can continue to provide vocational training and support services. An amount of $1.5 million is required to provide financial support to the Grenada Conference Seventh-day Adventists for the construction of the St. George's SDA Primary School at Archibald Avenue, St. George. This fund will significantly contribute to the overall project costs of $4.2 million, ensuring development of state-of-the-art education facility. This modern, innovative, well-equipped school will provide enhanced learning environment incorporating advanced educational technologies and infrastructural improvements. The new facility aims to support the academic and social development of students, meeting contemporary educational standards and preparing for future challenges. A sum of $570,960 was provided to the Grenada Olympic Committee and Grenadian athletes for the 2024 Summer Olympics held in Paris. To assist the athletes seeking qualification to participate and to assist the athletes who are already qualified to participate. The sum of $5 million is needed to support the provision of uniforms, meals, furniture, and general school supplies to children for the reopening of schools on the south side of Carriacou and Petty-Martinique and in St. Patrick, following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Ministry of Health. In the wake of Hurricane Beryl, the urgency to replace essential medical and office equipment must be recognized as a critical step in restoring healthcare services to the pre-hurricane levels. Overall, 5 facilities sustained damage. Of these, 4 lost approximately 70% of their roof sheeting, coupled with broken windows and doors, while the facility in Petty-Martinique lost its roof. Water ingress result in further damage and loss, particularly to that of medical and office equipment and other fixtures and furnishings. For example, X-ray, Instat, autoclaves, mattress, incubators, examination beds, etc. These are essential tools within the healthcare, and the timely placement is part of the ministry's broader effort to ensure health services in Carriacou-Petite Martinique can be continued to deliver the minimal disruption. And finally, a sum of $5 million is needed for this particular purpose. Moving on to vote 64, Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Fisheries, Cooperatives, etc. There are two items under this vote. Mr. Speaker, Grenada received a payoff of US $1.1 million from the CRIF SPC to support fish folks affected by the passage of Hurricane Beryl. In consultation with the fisher folks, it was agreed that the support will be provided to transport vessels to dry dock so that comprehensive repair can be undertaken. Additionally, funds will be used to repair damaged boat engines and to provide income support to fisher folks affected by Hurricane Beryl. An amount of $2.86 million, which is the $1.1 million, was allocated for this particular purpose. The sum of $15 million is allocated for Agriculture Emergency Response Plan, which includes farm labor support, income support to farmers, farm input support to facilitate the near-term recovery of the sector. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I wish to commit this bill for debate and passage and thank the members for the anticipated support of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister for Finance. Honorable Member for